What is up, everybody? Welcome to this episode of my Elden Ring Quick Platinum Guide. In this episode, we're going to get a couple legendaries, and we are going to kill a bunch of trophy bosses. So to get right into it, we are going to warp up here right next to EG, which is we're going to go to the Manor. So I'm going to mark that on my map. And we have a trophy boss to kill here, as well as a legendary weapon to get. That's going to be number 2 of 9 for our legendary weapons. One thing I want to point out is this is EG. We saw him earlier. If you go to him and talk, he becomes a merchant. And we can purchase unlimited Somber 1s and Somber 2s. So again, if you want to use a different weapon than I am using that scales with the, or that levels up with the Somber smithing stones, you can purchase unlimited 1s and 2s from him. And also you can purchase 3 Somber 3s and 3 Somber 4s from him as well. Later on in this playthrough, I'm going to be getting these items known as bell bearings, which will allow us to purchase unlimited 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, 7s, 8s, and 9s. But that's going to come a bit later. We're actually going to get the item that allows us to purchase unlimited 3s and 4s in this episode as well. But just know that you can purchase unlimited 1s and 2s from EG. And on our way to the Manor, we have these rain of magic arrows coming from the sky. You just kind of have to run to the side to dodge and weave around them. So I'm going to unlock this grace right here, and this is the Manor. This area has a ton of these giant hand enemies that can be a bit of a nuisance. I'm not going to stop and fight really anything, but you see these are the smaller versions of the hands. There's a bunch of these too, but the large hands are out here as well, and there's one right behind me, and I'm just going to run. The main thing is you can't use your horse in here. And these hands, they shoot a purple little beacon at you, and if that hits you, it's going to stun you, and then the hand is going to run up to you and do like a grab attack for a ton of damage. So just try your best to avoid, especially the larger hands as well. And there's another one, and he's shooting the purple beacon at me, so I'm just trying to roll through it so it doesn't hit me. If it did hit me, it wouldn't have been a one-shot anyways, but it's just those hands freak me out. I like to avoid them if at all possible, and suggest you do the same. So we're up at the second level of this manor now. We can unlock this grace. Definitely unlock it because we're going to be warping back to it in just a second. So what we want to do now is follow this pathway. At the first junction, make sure you take a left and ignore these spirit enemy people. And at the next junction, we're going to take a right here. And we're going to look over. You see there's a spot we can jump down to right here. So we're going to jump down onto this spot. And then we're going to drop down right here. And then we can drop down into this hole. And inside of this treasure chest is the Sword of Night and Flame. It is our second of 9 legendary weapons that we need for that trophy. This sword is very good. It does require a bit of intelligence and faith to equip. So we're going to roll back to the Manor lower level here. If you do want to equip it, by all means do so. You're going to need to level up your faith and intelligence a bit. I will not be using it for this playthrough because I'm really only going to level up one weapon to max. I'm not going to be spending my runes on acquiring additional Somber stones to level up other weapons. But if you want to do so, by all means, be my guest. So now what we're doing is we're just heading straight where we turned left before. We're heading straight now. And at the second junction here, we're going to turn left and go up those stairs. We're just running past everything. I did a bonus episode that was released previously where if you want to farm for runes, there's a very easy way that you can do that early on in the game, at this point in the game that we're at actually. And if you want to try some of those other weapons out, by all means you can do that farming, and you can buy your Somber stones. You can get the stats required for these other weapons that I don't have the stats for, and all that sort of thing. So if you want to experiment, by all means feel free to do so. All right, I can unlock this grace. Get this gold seed up here. This wolf is actually kind of tough. It has a lot of HP. I'm just going to ignore it. I think there's another one down here too, yeah. Just going to run past everything. Up here on top of these stairs, I'm going to hang a left. It's going to take us a side path around these enemies so we don't have to face them head on. Go up the ladder. Go around this way, and then we can drop down conveniently behind that giant magic troll here. Now, there are going to be enemies on these steps as well. There's really no way, or no other way to get around them other than just try to dodge their attacks. And right in here, we're going to face another boss for a trophy. So as soon as it gives you the chance, summon, pop your blue flask to get your FP back. And hopefully she'll be targeted on the wolves. Nope, not yet. I'm going to pop my physic flask as well. And then it's go time. Now she's on the wolves. Kind of similar strategy to most of the other bosses. Get up close, do your special, do jump attacks. All work really well. When she puts those magic swords above her head, make sure you're rolling to the side because she will. Those are kind of heat-seeking. They'll home in on you and hit you if you're not dodging to the side continually when they're shooting at you. So see, I'm running to the side and I want to dodge to the side. If they were going after me, dodging to the side would help. That's her great bow attack. That'll do a lot of damage. So just make sure if she pulls that out that you're not engaging with her directly, that you're kind of strafing and dodging to get away from that attack. So for killing her, we got a trophy. She gives us Loretta's great bow. And we are going to be warping back here later, so make sure you unlock this side of grace. And where we're headed to next is going to be outside of the academy right here, the academy main gate. And we're going to be using this other kind of warp gate. So there's where we went to go to the academy. We came in from that side when we used the first warp gate to get to this spot. Now what we want to do now is go to this warp gate, and it will warp us to the other side of this big bridge. And so what we're going to do now is there's a side of grace over here to our left. We're going to mark some spots on our map real quick. So what we want to do is we're headed to this church. This church is going to have a sacred tier, and then we're going to go all the way down here outside of this tunnel. There's going to be a golden sea right here. Then we're going to go inside the tunnel. This is going to get us to the top of the Altus Plateau. This is one of two ways to get up there. The reason why we're not going the other way is because there's a trophy boss in this tunnel that we have to kill. So if we're going to kill the boss at the end of this tunnel, anyways, for the trophy, that's going to be the best way for us to get up here, since we're trying to do things a little bit quicker. So I'm just going to ride until we get to this church and get our sacred tier, which again will allow us to upgrade our flask. There's a side of grace in here. We don't really need the side of grace. All right, got our sacred tier. So drop down here, and this will take us to the lower level, kind of down to this river that we need to follow. There's a merchant there. I believe he sells rune arcs if you want to buy some rune arcs. You don't need to buy them if you don't want to, but if you want some extras, you can definitely get them from him, I believe. I believe he sells rune arcs. Hope I'm not wrong. So once we get down to this ground level, sea level, I guess I should say, we're just going to follow the river. Or stream, or whatever you want to call it. Just run past these guys. They'll try to poison you, but just run past them. So right in front of us is our gold seed. Let's pick that up. Get rid of my beacon. All right, gonna unlock this grace and upgrade our flask before we head in. And why not check and see if we can level up as well? I'm not sure if we have enough runes to level up, but we might. Oh, we sure do. So I'm going to take my vigor up to 32. Again, the target for vigor, which is what I'm shooting for next, is going to be 40. And we're going to upgrade our flasks. Here we go. So we are at +6 now. So what we need to do is right by this grace is a ladder we're going to climb up. And this tunnel is somewhat lengthy, especially compared to some of the other tunnels that we've done. And the boss at the end is going to be fairly challenging, but probably not the hardest thing we've done so far. And again, if you're finding that you're struggling with any of this, you can go back to my previous video. It's kind of a bonus episode. And if you need to farm for runes, there's no shame in doing that to get a bit stronger, to get quite a bit stronger if you want to. And that'll make the rest of this significantly easier. So on the ground, once we get to the top of this ladder, there's going to be some little spiky things on the floor. If you run over those, you're going to get poisoned. So just watch out for them. And even if you do get poisoned, it's not the end of the world. There's a side of grace. So you see there's an item there that's bait. You see these spiky things on the floor. If you run over them, you're going to get poisoned. So I'm going to go ahead and get the smithing stone. And all we're going to do now, let's go up this elevator. And if you want to level up your bow, we're going to need those regular smithing stones to do so. Because our bow is going to level up off of regular smithing stones. But I'm not even sure if we're picking up enough of them to upgrade our bow. Because really, in this playthrough, I'm focusing more on the Sombers, because that's what we level up our sword with, is the Somber smithing stones. So just continue along this path, ignoring all the enemies. Got a gold rune 5 there. This guy's going to try to shoot like a flamethrower at you. We don't need anything up there. We're just going straight through this tunnel, headed straight west. Ignore that scarab. It'll blow up if you kill it. And just, if you got poisoned, rest at this side of grace, and that will take care of your poison. Your poison will go away. And if you used any flasks or whatever, resting at that side of grace will get all your flask usages back. Alright, ignore all these guys. Now up here, we're getting into bat territory. Which some of these bats might try to annoy you when you're trying to go up these ladders. If they are, just jump down and kill them real quick. Now up here, we are going to have to kill a few of the bats because there's a big one blocking a ladder, and it can be a bad situation if you try to climb up. See that one sitting right there? It's singing right now. It'll stop singing once we get up next to it, and it is bad news if you try to run past it because it'll try to hit you as you're going up the ladder. It'll knock you off the ladder. And overall, it's a bad situation. So I'm going to take these bats out while I'm at it. And now that I feel like I'm free and clear, so I'm going to go ahead and try to go up the ladder now. It's that big one that you have to worry about, the white one that we killed earlier. That'll hit for a lot more damage than these other black ones. And it is a problem if it knocks you off. You could very easily take a death. So I recommend at least killing that white one first. And you hear more singing, that means there's more of the white ones up here. And the white ones actually drop gold runes when you kill them, which is nice. They drop a gold rune item, I should say. So there's a couple of them up here, but we can ignore these ones because instead of climbing up a ladder, all we got to do is go up an elevator. And the elevator, we took a hit, that's fine, but you know, we don't have to worry about them knocking us off the elevator as we would when we were climbing up the ladder. So make sure you rest at this grace. Right around there is our boss door. And again, this boss is for a trophy, which is why we are going this way specifically to get up to the Altus Plateau. So go through this fog gate. You know the drill. I'm going to pop my physic flask. Once we get closer to the boss, I'm going to summon my wolves here. Drink my blue flask to get my FP back so I can use my special. And here we go. So this is Magma Wyrm Makar. And thing about him is he drops lava on the floor. And the lava on the floor lingers for a bit, and it hurts a lot if you walk over it. So stay away from the lava that's on the floor. And, you know, he also has a fairly powerful sword. He's almost already taken out my wolves. I like to stay kind of behind him, kind of to his back half. And it's harder for him to hit you with his lava on the back half. And also it's harder for him to hit you with his sword on the back half as well. Oh, I thought he was going to go for the wolf there, but then he went straight for me. So I got a stun there. And I'm almost dead, so I'm going to take this opportunity to heal as opposed to getting the critical. I can still get a charge heavy on him. And go back to doing my special kind of under his belly here. And he's doing more of his lava. That lava spew really is probably the hardest part of this fight. And now he's standing upright, so he's going to use his magma sword more. Again, kind of stay behind him. Got another stagger, but he's sort of falling right on top of that lava, so I'm just going to keep doing my special here. And instead of trying to go for the critical hit, almost got him. One more hit should do. And we got him. So that boss is a little bit tricky, and as I said, the main challenge with this boss fight is staying clear of the magma that he puts on the floor. But as long as you can manage that, it's not too bad. If you are really struggling with that fight, I would recommend going to the previous episode that I released and just leveling up a bit. Doing a little bit of farming, leveling up a bit will help you immensely with this kind of stuff that is a bit more challenging now that we've got a little bit deeper into the game. So what we're going to do now is rest at this grace, level up a bit. Get up to 34 vigor, level 54 total. And now what we need to do is head up these stairs and up this elevator here, which is going to take us to the Altus Plateau, which is the next major region of the game. And since we're going to another region here, we don't have the map unlocked. We will get the map unlocked soon, though. And here we have this this grace from the Volcano Manor. Remember, we teleported there earlier from the abductor that warped us to the Volcano Manor. In the previous episode at the bottom of the Rhea Lucaria Academy. And that Volcano Manor area is where we got our Somber Smithing Stone 6. So Altus Plateau, what we're going to do, we don't have the map unlocked, so I can't really do waypoints here. We're just going to follow this path. There's a grace right there you can unlock if you want to. We don't really need it for later. Just follow this path. And a big dragon's going to swoop down. Just run straight past it. Don't engage with it. Here he comes. He will shoot lightning at you. He's very tough. Just run right past him. Keep following this path. And right here, we're going to have ourselves a grace. And there should be a gold seed around here as well. There's the gold seed. I'll get that first. We're also going to pick up the grace. What we need to do here is on top of these ruins, if you helped Raya earlier, and by that I mean, remember when we got her necklace back, we bought it back from the thief and gave it to her. If you helped Raya, she should be standing right here. And let's talk to her. She's going to warp us back to the Volcano Manor, but to a different section of the Volcano Manor. So take her hand. And so she's going to warp us to the main lobby of the Volcano Manor. And this is going to take us close to a map fragment that we need, which is why we're doing this at this point in the game. We are not going to be exploring Volcano Manor fully yet. We are going to be doing that later on in the game. We'll come back here and do the full shebang. But what we're going to do for now is get this. There's a gold seed up here and a map fragment that we want. Run past this giant. He will try to frenzy you if you stay around him for too long. So just sprint away. You see our gold seed is directly in front of us. And so after getting that, now you're going to want to head down this path. And there's more giant hands. Just ignore them. And then when we get kind of to the bottom here, we're going to see our map fragment. So try to grab it in stride if you can, because there's a giant hand that comes up off that cliff. And you see he attacked me, almost knocked me off my horse. But there's a grace up here. Which if you can get to this grace, this is what you want, because you can unlock it and reset him. Set the giant hand. And we can level up our flask as well, so I'm going to do that while I'm thinking of it. Because if you have picked up some gold seeds, get ourselves another flask usage here. So what we're going to do now is we have this segment of the map unlocked. This is where we came up, we fought the Magma Wyrm when we came up here to the Altus Plateau. There's the grace we unlocked, so we have this segment of map unlocked for us now. What we're going to do now is go to the Volcano Manor, go back there. We unlocked that grace, remember, after Raya teleported us there. And there's one more thing that we're going to do. We need to talk to this lady. She's going to give us a key. All right, we get the drawing room key. So what we want to do now is we're going to go here. We're just going to do the first teeny tiny little bit of this. This item, perfume bottle, roll at this wall. It's an illusory wall. It'll disappear. Make sure you put your lantern on. It's hard to see. Now these snails, they'll try to hurt you. Just run past them. And then run straight. Go down here. Now there's going to be a Bloodhound Fang in here. Much like Dara will. That's the enemy that we killed to get this weapon that I'm using. Just run straight past him. And get this Grace here. And this is more for safety. We're actually going to go back and fight and kill that Bloodhound Fang. But get this Grace just in case you die. If you die, you'll basically respawn right next to him. You can try again. Now he is tricky. Not gonna lie, this is a relatively tough fight. He's got a bit of HP, and the thing is he moves really quick and he hits really hard. You see that he kind of teleports. What we're about to get is that is a weapon that's going to allow us to kind of do that teleport that he does, and that's going to help us with getting past groups of enemies. And you see he interrupts my attacks because he attacks really quick. And if you take a death, if this takes a couple tries, don't worry. You can try him as many times as you need. Just trying to heal up here. And unfortunately for this fight, you can't summon. So that's part of what makes this as tough as it is. And the fact that he uses the Bloodhound step, he teleports, and that's part of what makes him so tough. And he's got me cornered here. So he might kill me. If he does, it's not the end of the world. I'm just going to try again. Oh, there he goes. He got me. Not a problem. Which is why, as I said, get that Grace before. And you don't have to kill him technically now. I'm just doing it because it's convenient. So in my next attempt, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drink my flask before engaging with him, because that'll give me an extra hit that I can take from him and a boost to my dexterity. So I'm going to get my runes back. And here I'm going to start off with my special and do some extra damage to him, which I didn't do last time. And that he's almost dead now. And see, that's the thing is if you try to do your special after you've engaged him, he hits you so quick that it's hard to get a rhythm going, and he'll stagger you out of your attack. So there we go. Now that he's done his attack, I'm gonna kind of retort. There we go. Bloodhound Claws is what we want. Let's go on and throw these on. And we are still at medium load. So the thing about the Bloodhound Claws is if you equip them and then two-hand them, you see that our ability now is Bloodhound Step. And what you can do is if you just spam L2, this allows you to dodge around, and each time you disappear like that, you're getting iframes. So this is going to help just with general getting around, and especially since we run past most of the enemies, that's going to help us out a lot just with dodging enemies and whatnot. So what we're going to do now is we're going to warp back to the Erd Tree Grazing Hill, which is where we warped with Raya. And where we are headed now is, now they have the map, we can add beacons, is we're actually going to go up this little hill here. It's going to take us around here. We're going to go around these ruins here, and then there's going to be a big path that we're going to follow here. So just put your beacons down and follow this path. This is a lot of horseback riding that we're about to do, but what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be getting our third of 7 legendary spells that we need for that trophy. But it is a bit of horseback riding to get there. There's going to be a Tibia Mariner boss here. We don't need to kill this boss, so we're running right past it. The boss summons giant skeletons and whatnot. I just picked up a Trina's Lily. That's going to be used to construct our sleep pots. You don't have to pick up that one. There's several of them that, you know, we're going to pass by and have the opportunity to get throughout this playthrough before we actually need to craft them. We're not going to need to craft the sleep pots until pretty late in the game, so don't worry about it if you missed that particular one. All right, so this is the Seathwater River. We just need to follow this path literally all the way around. We're gonna make a giant loop around the Volcano Manor. I think there are more Trina's Lilies back there if you want to pick those up. Now these little geysers, they will hurt you, so make sure that you don't hit one directly, because they'll knock you off your horse and do quite a bit of damage. So run around the geysers. Gonna get this golden seed, gonna get this mushroom. And up there is an optional cave. We're not going to do that cave because it does not give us anything that we need for platinum. Just run past everything. I'm just going to get these items that are on the path just because they're there, and why not? Dodge the geysers. Whoop, there's one right there. This mushroom. There's another side of grace up here. You can unlock for safety because there are going to be, you know, some enemies that try to attack us that we're going to be running by. One of them is a giant rune bear. Generally, I'm able to get by it just fine, but, you know, it might just, in a freak accident, hit you and kill you. And, you know, you want a spot that you can warp back to. That's close by if you can. Up here, there's a bunch of these pyro enemies. We're gonna run right past. And up here, another magma worm is gonna spawn. This one is optional. You do not get a trophy for killing this one, so we are going to ignore it. The only reason why we killed the other one in the cave is because that one specifically was for a trophy. I got a gold rune 3. You can actually dash straight through here with your horse. Your horse can take a little bit of damage, but nothing too severe. Oddly enough, lava does not hurt you much in this game. So we got another cemetery. Gonna pick up some runes for free. This one you have to jump inside to pick up. Maybe dismount my horse. There we go. Oh, there we go. Just got it. Gold rune 6. Gold rune 2. Here's where the rune bear jumps down. Just keep running. There he is. If he lands right on top of you and he does that big belly flop, that would be a problem. So in this area, there's going to be a bunch of demi-humans. And kind of by where we need to go for the spell, there's going to be a mini-boss that spawns. We're going to run right past it, and there's a grace right next to it that we want to activate so we don't have to fight the boss. So run past this. These guys are going to try to snipe you with their magic. That's the mini-boss that just got up. So go up this little rock, go to your left. You should be able to rest at this grace and reset everybody. And if you die right here next to the grace, even before you rest, then you're going to respawn right here anyway. So if you rest, it resets the enemies. And this is the guy. He doesn't move or talk or say anything, but all he does, if you interact with him and wait just a second, he's going to give us Comet Azur, which is our 3rd of 7 legendary spells that we need. There we go. All right, so we got that. That's what we needed here. I'm going to take away this beacon. We're going to go back to Erdtree Grazing Hill. And now we're going to head this direction. And there's going to be a couple graces that we're going to unlock. We're going to start kind of here and then follow this path. And there's going to be some graces. There's going to be a map fragment. So for starters, head in this direction. Going to kind of cut through this camp here. And then as soon as we get through this camp on the other side, we're going to turn towards our first beacon that we put down. The only reason why we're going over here is to unlock a grace that we're going to use later. You see there's 2 giant golems here. One of them is going to try to shoot you. But just hurry over to this grace and unlock it real quick. And one of them is of the axe variety. One of them is of the great bow variety. But if he hits us, it's not the end of the world. All right, so now we're just going to follow this path. Now that we've got the grace unlocked. Pan your camera back, you can see when he fires his bow, and you can just run to the side and dodge it if you need to. Now I think we're far enough away to where he's not going to be able to really hit us. Okay, so you see here the path kind of forks. We're going to take the left fork. Up here's another grace that will unlock. And again, we're just following this path. Make sure you pick up this gold seed that's right off the path. And then get back to the path. Directly in front of us is going to be our next map fragment. Okay. So now that we got this map fragment, we're going to keep following the path. And this next thing that I'm going to do is technically optional. What it is for that bell bearing that's going to allow us to buy infinite Somber 3s and 4s. This is not required for Platinum, but what it will allow you to do is if you want to use a different weapon that levels up off of the Somber smithing stones, this will allow you to purchase infinite of them so you can level up whatever weapon you want that levels up off of these Somber smithing stones. That's just in case you want to use a different weapon than I'm using right now. I'm going to be using this same weapon for pretty much the whole playthrough. But I want to be, I want to give you guys options if you want options. Again, that Sword of Night and Flame that we picked up, that levels up off of the Somber smithing stones if you want to use that instead. I'll pull up a couple other good options as well. So now that we have this map unlocked, what we're doing is we're headed to this tunnel right here. We'll have the map open. There's a dungeon right here. You get the Moonveil Katana if you beat the boss in this dungeon. The Moonveil Katana is an intelligence scaling katana that has a very good special that shoots like a projectile. That's a good weapon that scales off of the Somber stones. Again, the Sword of Night and Flame. Later on in the game, we're going to be getting access to the Blasphemous Blade, which is an insanely good weapon. Scales off of Faith. Very strong attacks on it. Very good special. But again, on this character, I'm not going to be leveling up Faith enough to use that. And then again, it is the cost of purchasing the additional stones and then the cost of using them to upgrade that I'm going to be using pretty much every rune I get to level up. Because as I said, I'm not going to be doing any farming. Although farming is available to you if you want to do farming, but I will not be doing any farming myself. So we're just going to run straight through this tunnel here. Maybe pick up a couple items that are easy to get along the way, like this one right here. So this is a pretty short tunnel. And right here is our boss. So I'm going to flask up before going in. The thing is I should have killed those enemies because now that the enemies are going to be right outside the boss room, our wolves are probably going to aggro onto those enemies. So if you want to make sure that your wolves aggro to the boss, make sure that you summon the boss after killing those enemies. And we're going to see if this works. I tried to run to the other side of the room. Hopefully they'll aggro to the boss instead of the enemies outside the door. The thing with these enemies, these bosses here, is they have extremely high defense. You see they're made out of crystal. If you hit them enough times, though, it'll basically shatter their defense, and then they'll take an insane amount of damage. But for the first few hits, they're not going to take very much damage at all. So there we go. I just broke her. You see we're doing much more damage to her now. But you have to do a few hits that aren't going to do very much damage first to get the break. And then once you get the break, they're going to do much, much, much less damage to you. Our first one's down. Going to heal up. And the other one killed my wolves, but now that it's a 1v1 fight, not as much of a concern. Once I get the break, there we go. She'll be taking much, much more damage. Do a special here. And in addition to taking more damage, they also stagger very easily once you break them. All right, so we got the Somberstone Miner's Bell Bearing too. So just to demonstrate what this does, we're going to go back to Round Table Hold. And the person we give the bell bearings to is the merchant inside of the round table hold. And as I mentioned before, you can purchase infinite Somber 1s and 2s from EG. So now we're going to offer a bell bearing. And now we can purchase 3s and 4s from the merchant and round table hold. To our heart's content, we can purchase as many of them as we'd like. All right, so what we're going to do now is now that we've got that bell bearing, we're actually going to go back to Limgrave. We're going to go right here. There's some ruins that we need to talk to an NPC here. I guess the closest race is going to be this Agio Lake South. We need to talk to this NPC because she's going to give us a quest line that we're going to need to get another legendary spell later. The reason why we're talking to her now and not before is because she will not give us that quest line until after we have already obtained the Comet Azur spell, which is the spell that we got just a little bit ago in this episode. Just ignore this convoy. And in these ruins is going to be a cellar. We're going to see some stairs you can take down. And I can't access my map to get rid of the beacon because I've aggroed an enemy, but that's okay. Go through this fog gate. This boss is going to be a piece of cake compared to some of the other ones we fought in this episode. Now, this boss is not for a trophy, but this boss will allow us to talk to the NPC that we need to talk to. Killing this boss will allow us to get to that NPC. So you have to kill the boss to talk to the NPC. Once you kill the boss, you get a grace and the fog gate goes away. So go through this door. And this is Selin. We do need to talk to her for something important. All right, you want to learn sorcery. Okay, so we want to say show Azur's sorcery. And then tell me your story.
I want no matter what my apprentice teacher, but hear me out. I need your help. Splendid. This you must have. I
have a favor to ask.
Like my apprentice with this
okay, we get the Celian Sealbreaker. We're going to need that for later, which is why we came down here. All right, so now what we're going to do is we are going to warp here. The eastern, well, yeah, at the eastern Leoner Lakeshore, and then what we're gonna do here is put a beacon down here because we're headed to this little icon on our map. I'm gonna take away this other beacon that we put down, just so the beacons that we do lay down in the future show up in numerical order. Okay. And this is going to be our first experience in the underground section of the game. You're going to be spending quite a bit of time underground later on in the game, but for now we're just going to get a quick taste. So once we get to the port here, we're going to turn left, follow this path to the north. As always, run past everything. And there's going to be a giant golem outside of this spot, but he is not one with a bow and arrow, so he can't snipe us. We're just going to run straight past him and go in this little dome-looking thing. And it is a long elevator ride down, so I'm going to equip my torch. And we are going to our first underground section of the game. So there's actually a fairly large, not quite as large as the main map, but a fairly large section of this game is in these underground areas. And at first we don't have the map unlocked to us, but we will get a map for down here as well. For starters, we are going to unlock this grace. And we can probably snag another level, so why not? While we're at it. Go. And at some point, I'm going to use all of the runes in my inventory. See if that gets us any additional levels. But not right now. Okay, so turn left. Ignore these giant ants. They're going to try to get you, but don't worry too much about it. And down in these parts are going to be some ghost gloveworts that we're going to need to level up the summon that we're going to be using. We don't have it yet. So we don't have that summon yet, so we're not going to be upgrading it yet, but we will need them for later on to upgrade that summon when we do use it. So this is a Ghost 1. I believe you already have a Ghost 1. And much like we've been picking up bell bearings to get unlimited Somber Stone purchases, we're also going to be getting bell bearings later that will give us unlimited Ghost Glovewort purchases if you want to use a different summon than I will be using. So those again are optional, but I want to give you guys options if you want to do something different than I'm doing. If you want to use a different summon than I'll be using, that's perfectly fine. There's no right or wrong way, really. So down another elevator we go. And there are a bunch of enemies around here. We're just going to run straight past them. And in this next section, we actually want to hang a left here and go down this little stream. Because this next section has a giant, like, cockroach worm looking thing that shoots gravity projectiles at you. And so going this way makes it a little bit easier to stay away from them. So you see it's that thing hanging off the ceiling there. You can kill it, but I'm not going to take the time to kill it in this playthrough. So down here we got our Ghost Glovewort 2. We're going to head this way, heal up as you need to. And around here is going to be some stairs. Wait for the rocks to stop. And you're just going to do that over and over and over again until you get away from them or you kill them. If you hide behind, you know, a physical barrier, then those rocks that he's throwing at you aren't going to hit you. So what we want is actually directly underneath him here. There's a merchant you can buy some stuff from. I'm not going to need anything from this merchant particularly, but what I want right here is the map. And this unlocks the map for the first section of the underground. So this is where we're at right now. We are under the main area of the game. So now what we want to do is kind of head south, hug this wall to your right. We're going to drop down to this level. This guy's still going to be shooting at us. But eventually we'll be out of his range. Oops, should have veered further over. Here we go. Yeah, he could have dropped down from those rocks right here. I just veered off to the wrong direction here. So here's where you want to go. I'm going to pull up on the map so you can see where it is. Right here. That's where you want to be. Get this grace. Now we're just going to keep following this stream here. There's going to be more ants. But as we've been doing, just keep running. Pick up the Gloveworts as you see fit. There's another Ghost 1. We only need one of them. We only need one of each tier, much like the Somber Stones. We got another 2. This is a straight path. Take the right fork. There's another Glovewort. I believe it's probably another 2. Yep. So the game gives us plenty. And as I said, we'll be picking up the bell bearings as well that will allow us to purchase infinite of those from the round table hold in case you want to level up a different summon than what I level up. Or experiment with different summons. That's up to you. So as soon as you get the opportunity to summon right away. This is a boss. This boss is challenging, but not too bad. I'd say the Magma Wyrm is probably more difficult than this boss. And I'm just right next to him, doing my specials. Dodge when he swings his arms. Stay underneath him. And almost dead. He does have a phase transform. I think I one-cycled him there. I didn't allow him to get to his second phase. He will shoot the Frozen Lightning Spear at you. And the reason why we came down here is for the trophy for killing that boss. And we're not going to need to come back to this room later. But what we do want to do is make sure that we get this treasure chest right by where the boss spawned. Because in here is a great Ghost Glovewort. This will allow us to level up our summon that we're going to be leveling up to +10. Okay, so now what we want to do is we're done under here. If you press the R3 button, it'll cycle between your below ground sites of grace to your above ground sites of grace. Where we want to go now is Eastern Limgrave, and we're going to be headed to this area, which is going to take us to our next underground spot. So Mistwood Outskirts is where we're going. We're going to do our second underground spot for another trophy boss. And this second underground area is going to be a little bit longer, but not by too much. This is where we picked up the map fragment for this section. Just going to take away my beacon so I don't have to open up my map to do it. And we've got another long elevator down. So this next underground section is actually a little bit more wide open. And this one actually allows you to use your horse. So it is quite nice in that regard. We can move around a little bit quicker. But as I said, it is more wide open. And there's actually a puzzle that we have to solve before we can fight this boss. So you're going all the way down. And this is another section of underground. We don't have the map unlocked for it yet, but we will be getting the map for this this underground segment as well. All right. Gonna jump off right here. Get the site of grace. All right, as I said, you can ride your horse down here. So I'm gonna hop on. Throw on my lantern here. So I'm actually going to the left of this structure. You can go through it as well, but in my opinion, it just takes a little bit longer. So, circle right on around it. Go up these stairs at the end. I think these are runes, maybe. There we go. So to go up the elevator, it does force you to get off horseback, but once you get to the top of the elevator, you'll be able to get back on your horse. All right, so this next spot, there are these 8 obelisks that we have to light up before we can fight the boss. The problem is that there are tons of enemies around here, so it's going to be hard to pull up my map and show you where I'm going for all of them. So it's going to be a little bit more based on feel and just kind of trying to follow my footsteps here. But you do have to light all 8 to fight the boss. So our first one is right in front of us, right when we get out here. So these little obelisks, they have a little torch in front of them that you can light a fire on. So there's our first one. So right over here is going to be our map, which isn't going to do us very much good for the time being because I don't think we can even open. Oh, I can't open it. Okay, sweet. So our next obelisk, this is probably the trickiest one to find, is going to be over here. After that, our next one's going to be kind of on this island, and then there's going to be another one directly over here. And I only have 5 beacons that I can use. But our next one's going to be kind of in this area. Our next one's going to be kind of right here. And then I've already put all 5, so I can't put any more down without erasing my first one. But right here, we're going to get a site of grace that we're going to unlock. So just kind of follow these steps here. And some of these obelisks are surrounded by enemies, but you will get invincibility frames while you're lighting the obelisk. So I tend to just walk straight up to it, light it, and then bail before too much trouble goes down. So this area is littered with these spirit ancestral warriors. Some of them have bows, and they have absurd aim, and they do absurd amounts of damage. I'm going to be running past most of these, and as soon as I get away, I'm going to get back on horseback here. We're going to head to our second one. And you'll see these lightning orbs that are floating around. You cannot do damage to them. The only way to get rid of them is to allow them to do their lightning attack, which is very powerful and will only start once you get close enough to them. That lightning attack is really annoying. It's very powerful. It can kill you pretty quickly, and that's the only way to get rid of those glowing orbs, is to let them do their lightning attack, and then they'll go away. But you can't shoot them. You can't do damage to them. You just kind of got to deal with them. And I haven't gotten close enough to one of them to trigger it yet, but I think there's a spot later where you kind of have to, because I think there's a few of them that surround one of the obelisks that we need to light up. All right, here's number 3. And as I said, you have invincibility frames while while you're lighting them up. So I think it's this next one that might be surrounded by the lightning orbs. We'll see. Another Trina's Lily. Jump over this column. So here's our next one that we need to light up. And you can only light these up if you're off of your horse. Which is why I keep jumping up. Yeah, you see the next one has the lightning orb right next to it. So I'm going to run past this one. It's going to shoot at me. Most likely. See? All right, so right when you get up to this one, light it, and the lightning will not be able to hurt you. Now we're going to unlock our Site of Grace. And rest and reset the enemies, and I'll be able to drop the beacons for our next obelisks that we need to light. So I'm going to take this beacon away, take this beacon away. So our next ones are going to be kind of like right here and right here. I'm just kind of making educated guesses-ish. But they're generally going to be right across from each other. One of them is going to be on the left side cliff. The other one's going to be on the right side cliff, if you kind of notice that pattern so far. You see our next one is up there. We're going to have to jump up these rocks. And this one's going to be surrounded by an ancestral spirit and a bunch of rats, I think. And there's our last one, is down there. So light it. Nothing's going to be able to hurt you while you're lighting it. And then now we're vulnerable as soon as we're done lighting it. We're going to go over here to our last one. And this should be our last one. You'll know that it's the last one because you'll get a message at the bottom of your screen. Yeah, power gathers somewhere. Yep. So once you get that message, you know that you've lit all of them. So now we need to head back south. And as soon as it allows me to use my map, or I don't need to use my map, since we have this warp point right here, this will warp us to towards the beginning of this area. And we'll reset all the enemies, so we don't need to walk all the way back, since we can't warp with our Sites of Grace. So what we need to do now is go up these stairs. You see that these torches are now lit because we lit all of the obelisks up. So we got all 8 of them lit. What I want to do now is go all the way up to this giant deer-looking thing. And now we can interact with it to warp, and we will fight the boss. So now that we're here, I'm going to drink my flask right before going in. And then summon my wolves. This boss isn't too difficult. It is a bit shifty. It moves around. And it can jump in the air. I took that hit right there, but not a big deal. I had my bubble on. So that little wispy that it puts on the ground, if it kind of lingers on the ground for a second, it'll hurt you if you walk over it. And as I said, the most challenging part about this boss is getting him to stand still long enough to actually hit it. That stuff will hurt you if you walk over it. As you see, it's doing a number on my wolves there. Almost got it. I'm gonna heal up just for safety. Up, tried to headbutt me while I was in the air. All right, one more hit. There we go. And our reason for doing this, again, we get the Ancestor Spirit trophy. So it was worth our time. And now we'll warp on back to the round table hold, do a little bit of maintenance here. I'm going to sell all of my runes to the blacksmith. And even, I believe we have another remembrance. I can't remember if we do or not. Okay, gonna sell all of our runes. Yes, we do have the remembrance of the Full Moon Queen. I will show you what you can do with those remembrances if you don't want to sell them. I'm gonna be selling pretty much all of them for runes, but you can also use them to get special weapons and items and whatnot. Even though I did sell this one, I'll show you what you do if you want to use it. Again, really, you get... I think hers gives you an extra staff and maybe an extra spell, which you need intelligence to use all that anyways, so I'm not going to use that one in particular. As I said, I'm not going to be using any of them. Really, the only one that I would consider using would be the one we'll get later on in the game that will give us the Blasphemous Blade, if you want the Blasphemous Blade. So if you want to convert your remembrances into the weapons and spells and whatnot, you talk to this lady, and you can receive power from remembrances. I've already sold mine, so I don't have them in my inventory to do that with. You have to have them in your inventory. You can't consume them for runes and convert them to the weapon or spell from her. You have to do one or the other. There's actually a way you can duplicate them, but I'm not going to be covering that in this guide because this is not a full 100% guide. I do cover that in my other 100% guide that I've done. My other guide to this game that I've done, which is for 100%. For now, what we're going to do is we are going to level up. We get a few levels here, getting close to that 40. At level 58 now, which is quite nice. And that is going to do it for this episode, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you so much for watching, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Take care, everybody.